All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jacqueline. I'm the Community Science Outreach Coordinator for the Pacific Grove Museum of Natural History. And this is our segment of Community to You, where we feature different nonprofits and other organizations in Monterey County and Santa Cruz County. And they let us know what they've been up to and how they've been connecting with the community. So today I have Eessa from Return of the Natives, and she was very awesome and helped me with our Create With Us segment that aired on Wednesday, where she taught us how to make oak ink from oak galls on oak trees, local oak trees. So we're gonna start off our discussion with, if you have any questions about that craft or about that video, we're gonna start with our Q&A first. And Eessa, if you wanna introduce yourself a little bit more than that, that'd be great. Yeah. I'm also monitoring the chat, so you can post questions in the chat and we'll get them answered.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Eessa Vanderspek, and I'm the Volunteer and Outreach Fellow at Return of the Natives. Basically, we're a local nonprofit that deals with habitat restoration and environmental education. We're located at CSU Monterey Bay. We typically normally have weekend events every Saturday in the spring with habitat restoration in Salinas and Monterey. But today we'll also be focusing on our project that we had with the video with oak gall ink. This is something that I'm really interested in. I'm not an expert on it, but I started learning about these when I went to college. So we thought it'd be a fun idea to bring this to you. So basically what oak gall ink is, it was a common form of ink used in the 4th to 19th centuries. And it was used making, taking oak galls, which are these right over here, and crushing them. So the typical recipe for these, this ink process is you take oak gall ink or oak galls, crush them up, let them soak in rainwater specifically for overnight, and then you add some iron sulfate to it. And it forms this very nice purple black ink. And what was very unique about this ink was that it isn't water soluble and it lasts a lot longer than other sources of ink at the time. So very important documents such as the Magna Carta, the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, all use this ink as a way to keep their documents for lasting a longer period of time. So we can still find documents that were written in the Middle Ages with this ink. And what's really cool is if you look at historical figures at the time, they actually use this as well. So Leonardo da Vinci, he used oak gall ink in his sketches, Vincent van Gogh as well, and also Bach for writing notes. So it's just really cool to see this ink last so long that we can see it throughout history. Does anyone have any questions so far?
So we have a first question is, in the video you mentioned that it's difficult to use live oak galls, but that's all that they have in their yard. So what's the best way to crack those open?
So I actually have not attempted to do oak galls. So these are the coast live oak compared to the valley oaks. What I have seen in videos is people take pliers and kind of just crush them up. I've seen people kind of soak them throughout the night first to try to do that. I have actually not attempted it yet, but that's something that I was planning to do this week. But yeah, I've seen people use pliers, which seem to be the most reliable for these ones. But they are a lot more difficult than the other one.
Awesome. And then Connie, who's one of our amazing volunteers, she wanted to know or ask if you could talk about the benefits of planting native plants versus exotics, either in the monarch sanctuary or just in yards in general.
So that's a really excellent question. So that's what Return of the Natives is all about. So we bring native plants back to the landscapes here in Monterey County. And with oak galls in general, this is a very good example, is that a lot of animals are species specific towards plants. So for example, with the valley oak, the the wasp that lays its eggs to produce these galls, it only looks for valley oaks. It won't do that with a coast live oak or any other kind of, it wouldn't do it with a coyote brush or anything like that. And different species of insects as well, they have this relationship with those plants. So they'll look for that plant specifically. So they wouldn't lay their eggs in, for example, a coyote brush if they prefer the coast live oak. So with oak trees in general, they are a keystone species. So that means that they provide so many functions for so many different animals and other plants in the area as opposed to other ones. But native plants as well provide these functions, and typically they have that species specific relationship with other animals in the area. One good example in Marina is we have the coastal buckwheat and dune buckwheat, and those two plants are the only plants that the Smith's blue butterfly will lay their eggs on. And that butterfly species, it's only found along the coast of California. It's found nowhere else in the world. So we have plants here that are only found in these areas and have that relationship with those animals as well. So planting native plants also helps those animals as well. And they also, along with that, they typically can survive better here. So a lot of them are drought resistant, drought tolerant, so you don't have to water them as much. So you get to save a little bit on your water bill as opposed to having non-natives. But generally also you get a lot of native pollinators if you plant native plants in your garden. We have some native plants in my garden, and we always get these hummingbirds that come by and different bees, and it's just really cool to see that at your house.
I had another question coming off of that. If somebody wanted to transform their yard into a native plant garden or add more natives, where are the best places to find the species that are native to our area, like the buckwheat?
Yeah, so Return of the Natives, unfortunately, we don't offer that service, but there are plenty other nurseries in the area that do. There are very great nurseries in Monterey and Carmel Valley that offer specifically native plants. I don't know them on the top of my head just yet, but typically if you look for drought resistant nurseries, they do have native plants in their garden and they're available.
Great. Does anybody have any other questions regarding the oak gall ink activity? Just like want to gauge how many people have already watched the video or even tried making their own oak ink or are going to try making their own oak ink.
Yeah.
Out here in Marina, I'm just surrounded by live oaks.
Yeah.
As well. So I think I'll wait for somebody else to try making it with live oak, and then I'll follow suit.
That could be the next video, yeah. But yeah.
Awesome. So I know you had another activity for all of us to help us connect to nature while we're sheltering in place, which is going to be a really valuable resource, especially since the shelter in place just got extended. So let's learn more about that.
Yeah, so what we do along with our habitat restoration is we also provide environmental education. Typically we work with 4th and 5th grade classes along the Monterey Bay with our Eco Ambassadors program. So we have our staff come to classes, teach about watersheds, native plants, and things like that, and then we bring them out to field trips. So one of the examples that we have that you can do at home or you can do on your walks is we do this adjective game. So what we have, I don't know if you can really see it, but I'm using a whiteboard, but you can use a journal or a piece of paper, things like that. So along your hike, we usually do just a grid, and then you can pick different adjectives to look out for. So I did like green, spiky, woody, and thin. So while you're walking along your hike or things like that, you can find items that match with these two adjectives, and you can write more further down. So does anyone have a suggestion for another adjective?
How
So
about
like
bright or colorful flowers?
oh, okay, so colorful. Oh man, can't write like that. All right, so yeah, so while you're going on a hike or walking around your neighborhood, or even at home, you can find objects that match with these adjectives here. So for example, we can find something that's thin and spiky. We can find something that's green and colorful, so maybe like a colorful green. And this is something that I like to do with oak gall, or galls in general, is because gall shape, depending on the plant and the species, might look very entirely different. So for example, we got these small galls versus these larger ones. But with another plant, we might find a bright red spiked gall on a leaf. So depending on where you go, you might see different gall shapes and sizes. So while we're going around, so for example, you can do like green, colorful, spiky, colorful. Just look for items in your house or on your trip as well while you're walking around your neighborhood. Does anyone have any questions about the activity or in general? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really interesting and fun activity. And you could do it with kids of all ages. It doesn't have to just be really young kids or
Yeah, so we use this activity for our 4th and 5th graders, but I've seen it used throughout for younger ages as well. What we have in our front yard is we made a chalkboard with that. So we have our neighbors come by and they'll like bring like a flower that they found and set it down. Like I found this really cool rock, so I set it down on there as well. And it's really a good way to not only just find something along your walk, but find something that you can appreciate or that stands out to you. So for me, I first started noticing oak galls because I was walking around and I saw this weird shape and I was like, what is that? And then it got me into thinking about researching it and finding out that you could make ink out of it. So there's all different ways that you can get excited about nature, not just by making something. So with Return of the Natives, we do offer environmental education throughout the year, along with our habitat restoration. If there's any questions that you have with that, we do have our Instagram page at Return of the Natives, where we post segments with making oak gall ink, as well as updates on native plants. So if you're really interested in learning about native plants, we have that as well. We also have our Facebook page for that, which posts usually pictures of our volunteers and their projects on how they're doing and what they're up to with Ron. We'll also be actually hosting a Zoom party for our director, Laura Lee. It's going to be her birthday this year, and we're also celebrating the 25th year anniversary of Return of the Natives. And there we'll be doing trivia night. We'll also be doing games and a drawing for 25 plants that can either be given to you or donated to a local school for their garden as well. Does anyone have any questions about the activity or Iran in general?
I guess it's a lazy casual Saturday afternoon, which is okay. Um, but
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to point out, Return of the Natives is an awesome program with restoration plants, and they also collaborate with other programs. So at the museum, we have the Watershed Guardians
Yeah.
program, and we actually collaborate on school field trips. So, like, I will do part of the Watershed Guardians program, and then Return of the Natives will do a native plant lesson, and then we switch with our groups. So if anybody has education programs and are looking for collaboratives, Return of the Natives is an awesome one. Um, and I'm looking forward to eventually having field trips again.
Yeah, that was actually one of our, we had some volunteers join with the Watershed Guardians program, and that was really great. We were started actually by a group of teachers and scientists from Moss Landing Labs. And with the teachers, they felt that school should be prettier than prisons. So we actually started off with school nurseries and eventually made our way into environmental restoration along with the education portion. Um, so we do offer work. We do work a lot with other programs. For example, with our restoration sites at Carr Lake, we work with the Big Sur Land Trust in making a new park for the city of Salinas. That's a major project that's happening right now. And they do have an exhibit right now that they made where people can make drawings to submit and share. So they have an art exhibit, and I believe it's going on until August. I don't know if it's digital as of yet, but it's really cool and you should check it out. We also have other restoration sites in Salinas, such as Upper Carr Lake, which is where we had, and Atividai Creek, which is where we had the water quality testing for the museum. We also work with Fort Ord National Monument with the Bureau of Land Management in sustaining that monument. We do provide oak trees for that site, and we've had, I think we've planted over 1,000 plants this last year at that one site with, I believe it was about 400 volunteers throughout the year. And that's a really great site because you get to drive inside. They normally don't let you do that, but for that event, you get to drive into Fort Ord National Monument. And it's really cool because you get to see all this amazing view and help maintain this land in the process. What I love about that site is we typically have hikers or bikers who are just spending the day there, and they see these groups of people planting plants, and they'll come down to help too. So it's really cool to see the community come together for such an important project. For that site as well, we're also trying to encourage more pollinators to come to that site. So we are working, or not Fort Ord National Monument, sorry, but for Carr Lake, we're working in bringing milkweed to those sites to help the monarch butterflies. And we did do a project where we gave out milkweed to Salinas residents for their homes as well. I'm not sure if we still are offering that project at the moment, but it was really cool to see how interested people were in that project. So Carr Lake, it's located in Salinas, close, I believe, by East Laurel Drive. So Upper Carr Lake is one of our oldest sites, and it's just down the street. I don't really know exactly where it is street-wise, but right now it was a plot of land donated by farmers for the city of Salinas to make into a park, and we are working along with the city of Salinas and not the Bureau of Land Management, but we're working along with them to create that park. So a few years ago, we had community members come in to share their ideas of what they would like at that site. And if you go there now, we actually have a garden with native plants. It was really cool to see it from just like a plot of soil to now, and now there's a few oak trees starting to grow. and some other native plants.
Another like location factor for Carl, it's near Natividad Hospital, so that's like always my like landmark. And it's cool to see how much it's changed in the last year. I remember like randomly being out there last year and then coming out again this year. It looks great.
Yeah, and Natividad Creek is actually our oldest site. It used to be an unofficial dump ground, and Return of the Natives came in and helped make it the park it is today. So it's really cool to see pictures of how it looked 25 years ago to now, where it looks completely different. We do park cleanups of that site every year. And it's always great to see people who are enjoying the park come by and just be like, wow, thanks for helping out with this. And it's just like, wow, this is really cool to see. Does anyone have any other questions about Return of the Native sites? Or I saw there was how you can get involved or volunteer. So that's a really good question. So we offer multiple ways that you can get involved. If you're a student, we have a program called Restorers. So this is for high schoolers and up. And also you don't have to be a student for this, sorry, but you basically volunteer with us for 4 weekend events, one in Salinas, one in Monterey. You help us with one tabling event and one greenhouse work day, and you'll get your Ron t-shirt, and we'll give you orientation for that as well. If you don't want to have a longer commitment time with volunteering, you can also just come to our Ron events. So we have them usually every Saturday from 10 to 1, and we post the site a month in advance of where we'll be going. This can be found on our calendar, which I will post just now. But we do them typically at Fort Ord National Monument and Salinas in the spring. And then we have a few other events listed there as well. We also have every Tuesday from 10:30 to 12:30, you can become a part of our Ron's Dawns program. And that's where you come to our nursery site at CSU Monterey Bay. And we work directly in the nursery. So if you're interested in working, in learning how to transplant seeds, how to propagate seeds, or transplant plants, how to propagate seeds, I really like this program. You get to work directly with our greenhouse director, and she is phenomenal. She knows so much about native plants. So if you have any questions, like, she's a really good person to talk to with that.
That's awesome. So do you guys normally do events like throughout the summer, or is it more of a school year calendar year?
So it is more of a school year event, since most of our volunteer base is from CSU Monterey Bay. So we follow when they are in class. But we do offer programs throughout the year, mainly more in the spring. But with the greenhouse work, that's throughout the year. So if you're interested in that, that would be a good one to do for the whole year. The fall, we typically have them closer to the rainy season, so they're usually more in November, December. But we are planning to do an event once in a few months when we're ready with all the plants that we were going to plant this semester. We're going to be we're also going to be trying to plant 2,030 trees on CSU MB campus by 2030. So that is our goal for ourselves. And we've been working on that this last few months, planting oak trees at our CSU MB sites, which are by the science building and an area close by Imogen, I believe.
Yeah, so this shelter in place has really affected your guys' ability to like plant and restore. When we get reopened, hopefully in the summer, so you guys will be needing like tons of volunteers to just jump in and help plant all these trees that are just sitting in your nursery waiting?
Yeah, so our plants are ready to be planted. They're ready to be out there. So the more the merrier. Like, we'd love to have everyone come join. Our RON events, I really love the planting events. Those are my favorite volunteer experience. I actually started off as a volunteer. And I really like that because it just brings everyone together. It's only 3 hours. We got people of all ages coming in. I've seen kids like 3 years old with their little mini trowels. So it's just really amazing to see so many people coming together working on this one goal, which is to provide native plants and bring them back. Our mission is to bring people closer to nature and nature closer to people. So bringing those plants to us so we can all appreciate it. So for example, with the park, like, now everyone's able to appreciate that through the hard work of previous volunteers in the past.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions about restoration or is conservation in general as well?
Since we're going down this route, I thought we were going to go into crafts, but I like talking about restoration. So you said you started off as a volunteer for Ron, but like, did you have any education training to like help you find this position, restoring native plants?
Yeah, so I actually started as a college volunteer at CSU Monterey Bay. There's a requirement to do service learning for 2 semesters. And so I decided to go to Return of the Natives. I had no experience with plants. I have a terrible green thumb. I can't grow anything. So I just decided to try volunteering there. And attending those planting events made me realize how much I loved being outside, how much I loved being directly involved with the planting events in general. So coming to that, I didn't get direct training while I was a volunteer, but you do learn very quickly. So it just being passionate about it and meeting people who are just as passionate about it as well. And then I see Laura Lee's here. This is our director from Return of the Natives as well.
Stopped in to say hi, and then, if I make a
Oh, you're muted, Laura Lee.
nervous, I'll leave.
Oh, no. Well, I saw the next question is, what's your favorite California native plant and why? What's yours, Laura Lee?
Oh, I like California buckeye trees. I think they're really beautiful. They're the first in the trees to get their leaves, and they have beautiful flowers, and so I love them.
We have a really nice one at the Watershed Institute, which is coming along really well. I think for me, I really love purple needle grass. It's our state grass, and it kind of bunches up and then has a really long shoot that kind of turns purple throughout the year, which I really love. I don't have any here, but they're really pretty.
I can share mine. I know which one mine is. Mine would be the pink sand verbena. It's a dune plant that has extremely deep roots that get really big and can be like the size of your leg, which is fascinating to me.
That's a good one too. Ooh, monkey paint, Monterey painted cup.
Yeah,
that's nice too. Ooh, and sticky. But yeah, does anyone have any questions for Laura Lee at all about Return of the Natives? Sorry to put you under the bus. But for me.
Well, did you tell them that we're going to have a birthday party
Yes.
next week, and that we've got a Kahoot quiz about native plants on it. So if you like native plants, there'll be a quiz about that and a whole bunch of other things.
Oh yeah, and there's different levels of difficulty. I had trouble with a few of them, but they were really made you think about native plants in general too. And then and oh, sorry. Do you have any questions, Jacqueline?
I'm like trying. I had one, but it got lost when I was thinking about favorite flowers.
Or Laura Lee, how did you get involved with Return of the Natives?
Well, I thought I would be with Return of the Natives for 3 months and it's been 25 years. And I got involved because, I just had come back from Peace Corps and somebody said, oh, there's this group that you might like to help start happening. And I said, oh, okay. And so because I know my field is environmental education. And so I got involved. And what I really love about Return of the Natives is that you can really make a difference, that you can get people into nature, and then you can also help nature and heal people too. I think all of us right now on this shelter in place know how much we really appreciate being out in nature. And everybody is just walking around and keeping distant and everything, but seeing how wonderful it is to have nature around us. And so that is one reason I've stayed with Return of the Natives, because we get to do good things for the planet and for people. Yeah.
I think that's also why I stayed too.
Thank you so much for sharing, Laura Lee, and joining us today, being our surprise guest. I think that's all.
All right.
Question.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So do all the other people here, do they have favorite native plants too? Like I since I can't see you,
well, I have Connie loves Buckeyes, the Monterey Painted Cup, and Sticky Monkey.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, let's see.
Oh, okay.
Buckeyes.
Oh, Fremont Star
Lily.
Star Lily, yeah. Is Vermontia tree native? Yeah, it is native. I have not seen it native, though I've heard that Bruce Delgado from the Bureau of Land Management, there is a place on Fort Ord that they found it, but I think it is in a place that has not been turned over from the Army to the BLM. So, Bruce will never tell you where it is. I mean, and this was a long time ago, but the Vermontodendron, those trees, they're just coming out, and they're bumblebees love them. And I've heard that bumblebees are having a hard time right now. So like other insects and other pollinators. So having flowers in your yards, native ones, obviously I'm prejudiced that way, or biased that way, but having anything that attracts insects is really what we need to be doing. And the Museum of Natural History has a wonderful native garden. Yeah. Oh yeah. So Julia was saying that you've got a Vermontodendron near you. They're gorgeous. And you know, I think mine at our house here, it blooms 2 times a year. So we get a late summer bloom ours is blooming right now, and then we get a late summer bloom too. And it's pretty wonderful.
That's awesome. I actually had a question. Eessa let us know that we can get native plants and flowers from a lot of the local nurseries in the area in Carmel and Monterey, which is awesome. Do you guys know, while people are trying to figure out projects and get into gardening all of a sudden, like myself, all of a sudden I'm like, I'm going to be a gardener now. What plants could we be planting right now is a good season for?
Well, everything that you plant now, you have to water. So that you can plant any native that you can take care of. Though oak trees right now, you have to be careful if you were planting oaks, because you sometimes can get too much water around the stems of the oaks. But if you plant anything, you have to give it water. That's why Return of the Natives and everybody else plants in the wintertime. We start in December, and that's why, like, the California Native Plant Society does their big sale in the beginning of October. And they do it out at Me Earth, just so that, you know, you can put the plants in the ground when the roots are going to be growing the most, you know, when the ground is wet. So, you know, I think, but you could plant anything right now, but you do have to water it. And yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's right, about Me Earth having online sales right now. Was that of natives or of vegetable starts?
I think it was a combination. So there were a few
Good.
natives and vegetables starting as well.
Yeah.
There's also a really neat citizen science project that you can get involved with pollinators in your area called the Sunflower Project. It's basically where you can sit out for 5 minutes in your garden and count how many pollinators you see. And that helps for scientists to see trends in pollinators in different areas as well. Oh. So if you go to the Me Earth online sale, all the vegetables are organic. That's really good. Oh yeah. So there's milkweed and monarch mappers as well if you're interested in. Oh, there we go. Pollinator citizen science projects. And then Laura Lee, go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, this has been an awesome conversation. I'm looking forward to seeing people's oak ink experiments. Please, if you make it, send it in. You can email me at schneider@pgmuseum.org, and I would love to share that on our social media, share it with Return of the Natives. We want to keep supporting each other during this shelter in place and collaborating digitally and virtually. So even though we're not able to come together and do planting or education programs, we can still have these collaborative events. very difficult to like type and talk at the same time.
Yeah.
So I put my email in the chat box. This is so awesome. Return of the Natives is just a great program. I only hear good things about this program since I've moved to Monterey, which has been great. Any last minute questions or comments for either Laurel Lee or Eessa? Awesome. Eessa put her email in the chat as well. And please follow them on Instagram and Facebook if you're not already, so that you can keep up to date with all of their events as soon as the shelter in place gets lifted.
Right, and as soon as shelter in place is over, I don't know, you can get involved, be a volunteer with us. Did you say at the at our greenhouses on Tuesday morning? And then we are planning lots of planting events, probably starting, it'll be depending on shelter in place, of course, but either late November, but then if not November, it'll be January. And so every weekend you can come out and plant native plants in wonderful places. So so we do hope that you'll join us, you know, as a greenhouse volunteer, or coming out on weekends. Yeah.
And
We'll be sure to share all of this information on the museum website and even email it out. I'm sure some of our volunteers would love to get out and into planting native plants right away as soon as the shelter in place is lifted. So we will definitely be promoting you guys and all of the awesome work that you do. I don't have much more else for today's. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add before we finish up?
I don't know, Eessa, did you talk about how you can promote the best thing you can do for native plants right now is to pull invasives. And so when you go on a walk, I don't have my gardening gloves right here, but I go on my walks with my gardening gloves, and I right now pull Genista, which is called French broom, if I see it any place, and Italian thistles. I live out here in Carmel Valley, and Italian thistles are just awful. So if you want to help natives, some of these other pest plants can be cut, or well, pulled actually, and yeah.
That's a great tip. Do either one of you have a good resource for identifying natives in our area? I know I use like the Seek app, which helps me identify plants, and then I can figure out if it's a native or not. But do you have any resources that you turn to when identifying plants and native plants, specifically for Monterey County?
I really like using iNaturalist. So if I'm walking and I see a plant that I don't really know that well, I like to take a picture of it. And what I like about that app, it actually uses algorithms to figure out what plant it is based on your picture. And then there's information provided as well about the plant. So if you, if you find a plant, you can take a picture of it. It's very easy to use, and I have it downloaded on my phone, so it's very accessible.
And I'm more old-fashioned. I use CalFlora. I might take a picture, and then when I get home, I'll use CalFlora. I also use the Field Guide to Garland Garland Ranch. It's a beautiful little book.
Oh.
And then it's harder, but the Native Plants of Monterey County by Corky Matthews from the Monterey Native Plant Society, from the Monterey County Native Plant Society. And that is I use that a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. Those are awesome resources and tools for everybody here to be able to find one that fits them. That's great. So we're coming up on our time, and I love that our conversation has gone this long. I've really learned a lot about how long Ron has been around and what you guys like do on the daily basis, which is awesome. I like the chart, the adjective chart that Eessa showed. I think I'm gonna put it in chalk in my driveway as well, because I have a lot of neighborhood kids that run up and down the street pretty much all day, and I'm like, shouldn't you guys be learning? So, but I'll be sure to draw it out and maybe snap a picture of it. I'm looking forward to working with you guys in person and on field trips in the future. I thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday afternoon to join us. Just some upcoming events. So Shelter in Place has been extended in Monterey County until the end of May. And so we're gonna have one whole month full of digital programs like Museum Mondays that are happening Monday at 1 p.m. with Sierra. We have Exploring the Coast on Tuesdays with Hannah. Create with Us on Wednesdays, that's me. Thursdays, we are doing Sciencing in Place at 7 p.m. And Fridays, we have Bug Out with Bree. And then Saturdays at 3 p.m., we will be having our community to you segment. So next Saturday, we're gonna have the Seymour Marine Discovery Center. And the following Saturday, we're gonna have Greenfield Science Workshop. So, and at the end of the month, we're having our Digital Science Saturday, Water Wild. And you can find all this information in the chat. Let's see, I'll put it here, and I'll also put my email one more time. Thank you all for spending your Saturday afternoon with us. And I'll stick around a little bit longer if anybody has any last minute questions for myself or Return of the Natives.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate all of your guys' hard work.
Just curious, Lorelei, because I know your father studied oak galls or galls in general. What's your favorite gall?
Oh, I love oak galls. I have right here by my desk. When I got to go, I went back to the university and I got one. I could just take, like one armful of stuff before they said you had to go. And so I have this whole book, and it's called Plant Galls and Gall Makers, and it's from 1940. So that's like, how much? That's like 60, 80 years ago. And this book is the best book, because all I have to do is I'll find out what species or what like plant the galls is like. It could be an oak tree, and then I'll say, oh, it's on the stem, and then I'll just look it up right here. You can also Google that way. You could say oak stem gall. But this 80-year-old book has been really, really great.
That's fantastic. I think we should just end it on that note. Like,
yeah. Did you show your video? Did you show the video?
Yeah, we didn't show it yet, but we had it on the link beforehand, so hopefully everyone will.
Everybody, the video is really good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun if you haven't done it yet, but I know it's probably harder with the coast live oak gulls.
Well, I think we're gonna have some blooper videos about how difficult it actually is to do.
And I have my own right here at my desk, homemade iron oak gall ink that and a pen that I pull out, and that's what Eessa gave me for Christmas. So
Oh.
so anyway, it's really quite fun, though I'm not a good calligrapher. So.
Oh, same. I think after learning how to crush coast live oak, then learning how to do calligraphy will be next. But yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna just bye everybody. Thank you so much. This was awesome. I love spending my afternoon this way. So hope everybody has a good weekend and
All right.
finding ways to connect with nature. Bye.
Bye.